All right, so this is our we snuck this one in because we want everyone to know and to hear that wherever you are on the interwebs and in the Facebook groups, we are all listening to all any concerns that you have or anything that comes up. We are making notes and adjustments, and so we noticed that this was a topic that had come up recently, and so we didn't have this webinar scheduled in our schedule, but we wanted to address it because this is a very important part of this e-design process that we are so excited to launch very shortly. So why don't we go ahead? We have Jason. Jason, why don't you introduce yourself and who you have with us?
Yeah, well, my name is Jason Harris, and I'm co-owner of Furniture South and also founder of the Design Network. And we're actually here with Danny Owens, who is our Director of Operations for Furniture South. He's been with our company for 20 years and really runs everything from distribution to logistics, delivery, finance, accounting, all of it on sort of the operational side of our business. And so I've asked him to join us to answer some questions that you guys might have about our white glove delivery, about our logistics and how things work. And I thought it would be interesting too for us to be actually in our distribution center, and so we could kind of pan and just show you guys like how expansive this is. You can see sort of the racks.
45 miles of racks.
Yep.
45 miles of racks. And then how high? It's hard to tell because there's no scale because you see the boxes, but how many stories up is that? It's when you see it in person, it's unbelievable.
It's basically 4 floors. If you did most floors are 10 to 12 feet tall. So it's 44 feet to the rooftop of this building.
Oh my gosh. It's so impressive in person. We have to tell you. So thank you for what a great idea. I didn't know that you were going to record from there. So that's amazing.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
We're keeping it real. That's why Jason didn't shave.
I know, right?
I like it. I like scruffy. So let's start with what white glove delivery entails from start to finish. Can we just start there and then we'll move along?
Yeah, I'll start with that one, and I know Danny can pipe in, but that is one of the real differentiating factors of our business, and we take it really seriously. This distribution center that we're in allows us to offer the type of service that I really don't know of anyone else in the furniture industry that's able to do what we do. We deliver across the nation on our own trucks with our own delivery guys who actually inspect and pad wrap the furniture and actually install the furniture into people's homes across the nation. And so having our own equipment, having our own drivers really allows us to just be more in control of the situation. And that's where a lot of different retailers fail, is because they actually use only third-party delivery services that just create extra steps that are involved and may not have the care that we have. So it's a big part of what we do.
Just to kind of second what Jason said, let me know if you guys can hear me fine.
We can hear you.
Basically, everything that's sold to our consumers comes into this building on the other side. Everything's received in, it's put into the racks, random stored, very much the way we'd be sitting in a home. So we touch it one time. That's critical for, as you know, furniture. No damages, which is what your goal is. And so when it's ready to be scheduled, we'll pull it down, we'll open it at night. This building runs 2 shifts, and we'll inspect it at night. We'll come in first thing in the morning with the drivers and do a second inspection. And the drivers then pad wrap it. Unfortunately, the drivers are already done for the day. They've gone. We don't have any, I don't think, moving around. I'll keep my eyes open, see if you see any show up. But they've headed out. They will head out somewhere in the 48 states from this building in Jamestown, North Carolina, to deliver to consumers throughout the country. The white glove is giving them that special treatment to bring it in their home.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what Danny said, I mean, everything that we sell, whether it's from our outlet or that we special order from manufacturers, and again, we have 1,000 different resources that we order from, and so everything comes to this building where it's processed. And in this racking system that you see behind us, We do a light inspection when we bring those products in. And this building is climate controlled. It's nice and cool in here today. We don't have it doesn't sit in heat, and humidity can really change a lot with a wood product and finishes. So it's climate controlled. We store items the way they're supposed to be stored, the way that they would sit in your home, on their feet. Like a sofa's not going to sit on its end. It's going to sit on the shelf basically until that item is ready to be delivered. So this facility, as Danny said, 45 miles of rack space. We have a lot of capacity here. And driving behind me now, it was perfect timing. This is a lift truck. And can you imagine? These guys are tethered to those, and they go 40 feet in the air and slide those boxes off onto a platform on a cart that's actually part of that lift truck. And I've never been on one up that high. It's pretty scary. But
it's not just a job; it's an adventure.
I do want to stop right where Danny said, I want everyone to realize that you are located in Jamestown, which most designers do realize, right near High Point, where we go to market, right? Very close to there. And you do deliver yourself. So I'm in San Diego. I have ordered and had literally your Furniture Land South trucks and drivers pull up in front of my house. So let's
I think
talk.
we delivered like a lamp or something.
A pillow. A pillow.
A pillow, great.
Exactly. So let's talk about, I think it's important though to mention that all of your trucks are getting dispatched out of Jamestown, and it doesn't matter where whether you're going to Dixie or to someone in Raleigh or to San Diego, California. That is going to affect obviously the lead times of when we order the items, right?
Yes, let me just kind of give some more facts about our guys. We probably deliver 90% of it with our guys. Unfortunately, there's places in America where you ask about lead times. We have to fill a truck up. We're not going to come to San Diego with a truck with one piece on it. We'll fill that truck up. It might take us 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, depends on the sales volume, as you can imagine. If someone comes here and buys an entire truckload, hey, I'll be there next week for it. But it normally doesn't work that way in faraway places. But
and that's one of those things too.
On where our volume's at, up and down.
Sorry, I was gonna say that's one of those things too, where it's not just you. It's not just Furniture Land South that has that policy. That's pretty much across the board.
Dixie and I've worked for Ethan Allen. I've worked for Bassett. Dixie's worked for several home furnishing companies. This is how it's done. And I think if you have a lot of designers that are coming fresh into the design industry, straight out of college, and maybe haven't worked in the furniture industry, they don't understand how you have to fill that truck up. And so that's why one of the reasons why we wanted to have this webinar, to let them know that, as a business, your delivery, that's how you have to do it. And that is across the board, a lot, any retail, furniture retail.
We had a situation 2 weeks ago, and there's two things that go in mind. Obviously, if we can do it, I believe in our guys. We can give great service and get it there safely. But when you have to pull it out and do these one-offs here and there, the cost is sometimes 3 times the cost. We had a customer the other week. I think they were in maybe Wisconsin, upstate Wisconsin. We just don't go there very frequently. And I think they bought just maybe a sofa and a cocktail table. We had to find a third party. It was astronomical to get a price to see if they wanted to do it. And then I worry about the service, because you never know who's going to show up. So I know what we control with our guys, but you're right. The lead times come into play very much when you go throughout the country.
Yeah, so there's really 2 factors involved. I mean, 90% of what we sell is special order. We order it from the manufacturer and they ship it to us. So that's the first factor. Do they have it in stock, or does it need to be manufactured, or like waiting for it to come in from overseas? That's the first factor. If we do a great job of establishing those lead times at the point of sale based on not what the vendor tells us, but based on our historical data of how frequently they ship to us and are they on time. And so we publish those lead times, those average vendor lead times, on our orders, and we discuss that with our clients up front. So that's one factor. The other factor is once we receive those things into this building, into this distribution center, how long does it take from that point to get to the client? Now, obviously, we are a North Carolina-based company, so most of our business is done on the East Coast. It's done North Carolina, Florida's number 2, South Carolina, Virginia, New York, New Jersey, the Northeast. And hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
I'm standing behind me.
Here's one of our guys right here.
One of our guys right here. He's one of our delivery guys.
Hey there.
Right? No, East Coast. I'm sorry. I'm thinking. They're loading at Tennessee, Alabama right
that's
now.
Dixie's neighborhood right there.
That's loud. Yeah.
There's one of our drivers in his uniform, so that's what they look like. They knock on your front door.
Isn't he a good-looking guy?
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy. Dixie wrote a big order. She flew down there and wrote a big order. So that's going to be your guy right there, Dixie.
Your guy.
Where's it going?
Knoxville
Tennessee.
area.
Knoxville.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that we give you our very best on that delivery. No, but so the other factor in addition to the vendor lead time is how long does it take us to schedule that trip to your area? And so if you're in North Carolina or up and down the East Coast, we're going to get it to you really quickly. If you're west of the Mississippi, it depends on where we are sort of in the cycle of building the next trip. If we just shipped to California, it may add a couple, 2 or 3, maybe 4 weeks. But if we're delivering to Tennessee or Virginia or Florida, we can probably get that thing scheduled really quickly within a week or so. So, I don't know that there's anybody that could do it any quicker than we do out of one distribution center on the East Coast. We've been growing like crazy, but we want to make sure that we maintain that control and that excellent level of service. So,
Jason, I've dealt with companies with multiple distribution centers that had longer lead times than you two do.
Yeah.
So y'all do a great job.
I appreciate that.
Real quick, while we're talking about lead times, one other thing is when it's inspected, the piece, if there's something wrong with it. I got an email a couple of weeks ago saying, hey, when this piece came in, we looked at it, it's not good. So we're going to get it fixed for you. And I appreciate that. But that's something that a lot of times designers don't remember to take into account, is that they're going to make sure you are going to make sure that we get the best quality product, and it may take a little bit of extra.
That's a good point. When we pull it down, we don't open and inspect everything. We have found out over time certain things are better left in the packaging, but we probably open 80% of it, the things in our experience, and that is a nice factor. When we open it at night. Unfortunately, we don't open it weeks before. We open it the night before it ships. We have 15 master craftsmen in this building we're in, and we can pretty much repair anything. We have upholstery, leather guys, wood guys, glass cutting guys. We are welding, you name it, we can do it. And we will repair the product. Sometimes it'll miss the trip. That's a bad thing that's going out west, but Tennessee, I could probably turn it around less than 2 weeks and get it to you if I had to. Missed it.
Yeah, we don't say repair, it's deluxe. We deluxe. Some people say, I don't want a repaired item or something. But listen, my dad always said, manufacturing a piece of furniture is actually a series of repairs. And I hope we have time to walk back and actually show you the shop and the finishing booth and the facilities, the craftsmen. We have literally a small manufacturing facility within this distribution center, and that's so when we do find that item, Dixie, that just didn't meet our quality standards, sometimes we can get it to quality standards immediately, like or sometimes it may take longer, or we have to send it back to the manufacturer, and so it's frustrating sometimes when that item does get bumped. Yeah. But
in the end, it's a good thing for the client.
Catching it now versus later. That's what you want.
Yeah.
And
we learned the hard way that a damaged piece of furniture doesn't fix itself on the truck by the time it gets to
I can't imagine why not.
Right? It just doesn't fix itself.
I will tell you some facts real quick that are unique. This building's been here, we're sitting in for 17 years. We opened up actually September of 2001, 9/11 week when we opened. I'll never forget that. And before this building, we had 7 or 8 buildings and we were putting product in, and we were not opening product. We were bringing it to Tennessee, to San Diego, opening it at your front door. Our returns were 15, 16% a lot of times. Our returns now in this building, by opening it and inspecting it prior, run somewhere 2.5% to 3.5%. Pretty consistent.
That's amazing.
For profit. So much improved, which is the name of the game.
Let's see if we can walk around.
Jason, as you're walking around, what is the one line that your father has always said? After how many years has your family been in this business? And he says the furniture business is it like something about problems?
Solving.
Oh, it's a problem-oriented business.
That's
It's
it.
a problem-oriented business.
It is a problem-oriented business, and
Yeah.
it's those gray hairs popping out here. There's, it's not. Is there going to be a problem? There's always going to be some kind of problem or issue. These are furniture's made from man-made materials. These are large items. They're going into small doorways and across miles and miles. So it's just fraught with problems and issues. I think what's special about us is that we have literally and we're celebrating our 50th year anniversary next year. We're going to celebrate like all years for making it 50 years.
Awesome.
But we have encountered every possible scenario that can go wrong, and so we have systems and we have teams in place that, depending on the type of the category of problem, and Danny's architected a lot of this, we know how to fix it. We know how to turn it around and get it rectified. We're not perfect, but we have an awesome team that can kind of steer the ship the right way to take the steps that are necessary to get these things turned around quickly. And it's our world. It's what we do.
That's what I just want to bring that up, because I think it's so important for designers to set that expectation that, sometimes things are coming from overseas. Sometimes, there are so many things that can happen and will happen with some of these pieces. And, it is frustrating. I understand that. But if you set that expectation with your clients that, something probably will go wrong, especially if you're doing a whole house. You've heard about contractors dropping slabs, and, something is always going to go wrong. And I think it's important just to go in with that mindset. And if it all goes right, then, count your blessings. Yeah.
This is about just being a problem-oriented business. It is very problem-oriented, but I think our focus over here is to try to be prepared
Yes.
solutions when things go wrong, and do it in a timely manner. That's service. And if you do set an expectation with your consumer, we can make it right. Whether sometimes it's a day, it's sent a part, something tomorrow, or if it's a week, we've got service techs. We can fix things and make it better than new. And I think when the folks recognize that, it's a lot better experience for both the consumer and the designer. You know that. I mean, it can get frustrating sometimes. Anyone, we tell our drivers, if you think your world's going to be perfect on this trip, leave your keys here.
Yes.
We know he's going to encounter something. The real test of being good is how you respond to the problem.
Yeah.
And that's what we focus a lot on.
And that's what being an entrepreneur is about. We're all problem solvers.
Yes.
We're going to walk and talk a little bit here, just because I want to specifically take you over and show you the shop. You can see kind of in the background some of these bays that are being inspected and loaded.
Wow.
It's just international shipment here. We have to repackage them. So we have international products. We open it, inspect it, we recarton it, they buy insurance on it, we load it on a truck, and they take it, and we never see it again. So international is a big thing. We do a decent amount of international going overseas somewhere. Obviously, our that's a truck.
That'll make you jump.
Everybody awake now? While we're walking real quick, I want to say there are a couple of questions, but we'll catch those at the end. I don't want anybody to think we're skipping over the questions. I just know that I've seen them pop up. So that's all. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're in front of me, which you can't see because I'm going to have to turn it around here. We're approaching the shop, and immediately I smell the fumes of the spray and the finishes. These guys go home a little loopy every day. I'm pretty sure.
I love it.
Smiling about lunchtime, I can tell you that.
So we have 14 master craftsmen in here.
Wow.
I call them magicians. I mean, I can take a chair and throw it up in the air and run, pick it up in a shovel, and they can put it together in probably 2 or 3 days.
Wow. I love that, and just to note the words master craftsman. We're not talking about, someone running around with a Q-tip and some, wood coloring or something like that. Hi.
Yeah. How you doing, my man? Adish. This is Rachel and Dixie. What are you working on here, my man? Getting some touch up?
Corner crush. Corner crush.
Let's see if I can get this.
Oh, wow.
We got a corner crush. So we're getting that right, touching all that up. This man knows what he's doing right here.
Amazing. And then matching the finish, and that's incredible.
Exactly. So we got some other guys over here. That's great. All right, yeah, Greg's the man. He's the guy that looks a little loopy about lunchtime. Hey, man.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Greg.
Hello. These are 2 of our favorite designers in the world. Tell them what you do.
What I do?
Yeah, tell them what you do.
I strip and finish furniture when the top gets damaged. I don't know if you can see that behind me.
Oh, wow.
Also do touch up and repair on the furniture when it comes in. And I spray coat the lacquer mostly.
Yeah.
What if it's behind us here? Yeah, this is Danny will show you the spray booth here.
They just need a little pull back. They got a huge spray booth, as you can see.
Wow.
This ensures, proper spray, even, dries faster.
Yeah. No dust. No dust from the warehouse. Yeah.
How much is that thing? I bet there's not another retailer in America that has one of those. You could finish a car in there.
Right. Well, what I love too is when you walked up to one of your master craftsmen and it was like, what do we have here? And it's like, oh, corner crush. Where you have corners, you're going to have corner crush. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's great that just to see how, you guys are prepared to deal with that. It's incredible.
We probably got, I bet you our shop experience is probably 15, 20 years with us. Some of them been in the industry for 25 or 30 years.
Wow.
Here's Mr. Sean. I brag on Sean a lot when I do throughs. Sean's been here 25 years.
Wow.
Hi, Sean.
Happy anniversary.
All right. 25 years. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's prior to us being in this building by like 8 years.
So he's seen a lot of years. Sean does a lot of incredible. It's like he's taping something off. What do? Bust something here? You trying to color?
Yeah, actually tore off the hinges on the doors here and just ripped it all out. And
Wow.
Probably transit damage. This is where I come about twice a week and read these. This is something that was returned from a trip in Virginia, and it tells what happened. And drivers state that the doors flew open while carrying it and broke away from the piece. So an error, mistake made.
Yeah.
We had to bring it back from Virginia, but we could take it's an expensive piece of furniture. John can fix it better than it, and we'll. I don't know if we'll send it back to them. It depends, or we have to sell it in the outlet center. But it'll be like new when it's done.
But you know what, Danny, let me just mention, if that were to happen to me, if, a very expensive piece of furniture and that happened on, I don't have the capacity to be able to do that with my small business. I don't have the resources. That could really, really hurt a solo designer or a small firm.
We can save the consumer. We can potentially get the piece back to them.
Yeah.
Or we can bring back this lemon and make it into lemonade by selling in the outlet.
And the outlet, yeah. Right.
I love telling stories about something that happened to my mother. My mother had a chair broken during Thanksgiving one year, an expensive chair, and I had Sean do this thing My mother cried. She couldn't believe it. She thought the chair was like $1,000.
Right,
She goes,
right.
new one. I kind of wanted to say, yeah, I got her a new one, but I'm like, no, Sean did. Consumer will step back and take a deep breath. We can make them really happy.
Yes.
So
we got Sean on the job. I like it.
Yeah, Sean's the man.
We try.
We'll see you out there for the next market, Sean. This is great.
We got the upholstery side of
Upholstery and leather. We have two guys that are incredibly talented doing upholstery and leather. I mean, whether it's stains, replacement, cuts, you name it. I mean, Jamie's over here doing something. Alan, I don't know where he's Alan.
So we got some upholstery work we got going on here.
You're on candid camera, bud.
Hey man, how you doing, buddy?
You're on candid camera. Hi. I love it.
So we're doing a Zoom with a couple of our designers from our TDN program, and we're just telling them what our capabilities are with the shop. And do you handle mostly upholstery?
Everything. Upholstery, leather, mostly.
Gotcha. What are you working on there? Putting some.
This foot was wet. It was cracked, so I had to glue it back and glue it back and put it on.
Cool.
Perfect.
There we go. Just get Alan here. Alan's our upholstery man. He's got a sewing machine over here.
I love it.
Hey, Alan. How you doing?
Alan.
How long have you been with Furniture Lands South?
12 years.
12 years.
Wow.
Close to 13 years, and he is our upholstery man. He's got all kinds of tricks and tools. He's got his sewing machine here. He's got all the different threads and tacks.
Amazing.
Right now, look at this beautiful piece from probably a Phillips collection.
Bottom, so it won't scratch the floor. So what you're doing?
Yeah, put carpet on the bottom so they can slide it on the hardwood floor.
So
Oh,
we've got
wow.
I know the story
That's
behind it.
amazing.
We got a designer buy this piece for Virginia. It's over 800 pounds.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
He's putting a piece of carpet on the bottom of it. You can't physically pick it up. They're going to have a lift there. So he's carpet on the bottom of it just so they can slide it. Once they lift it up with a lift and through the windows, I think that we're doing.
Oh, my gosh.
We
Oh
won't
my
do a lift. We won't have the guys, but we run into some crazy things, and it's just trying to make the customer happy and be safe.
That's amazing.
800.
Yeah, things I don't even think about.
It doesn't happen normally, but we just try. We have to walk through it. I mean,
So you got to think about that. You got the glue on there now?
Yeah, on there now. Put this on there.
Look here, he's custom cut this piece of carpet right here to fit exactly on it. You ready to put it on there? I hope Jason Phillips watches this.
Jason, I know. We got to tag Jason Phillips on this one.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Now they can slide it around on their hard surface floor.
That's so
That is
smart.
awesome. So we didn't plan this happening right at this moment, but it's pretty cool that you
Yeah.
got to see that.
I love it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And while we're here, why don't we just step outside, and I want you to see, some of our fleet trucks.
Let's see him.
Yeah.
I love your trucks.
They're colorful. They're hard to miss.
I know.
Right?
I love them.
Yeah.
I love the behind the scenes tour.
All right, now we're outside. It's a beautiful sunny day here in
91 degrees in Carolina.
Ooh,
Yeah,
there's
so-
that van. I love that van.
I know, right?
The party bus.
We gotta bring the van back. I'm driving that right now because my car's in the shop.
Oh,
But
Wow.
I think you can see some of the
Yeah.
some fleet of trucks. And this is our campus. I mean, you're seeing the back of the outlet center there. And then around the corner is the showroom and mart.
Yeah, there's like a lake there. For people that haven't been out to Furnitureland South, if you make it out to Hyde Point Market, definitely spend a day at Furnitureland South. They call it a campus. It is not a showroom. It is not a store. It is massive. It is massive. It's buildings, and they have a contract furniture gallery. They have a leather gallery. They have this fleet of trucks. I mean, it's amazing. They have food and Starbucks. It's massive.
Can you see some of the trucks back in the
The
background?
beautiful color. If you see the red and blue back there, that's actually his fleet, part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's, of course, our contract division is also in this.
This is
building.
amazing. I love that.
So how long is this building, Danny?
Let's say that way is 600 feet long, that one, and the one here to the right is 380.
Wow.
Almost 1,000 feet long.
Like 1,000 feet long this building is.
And this isn't even like Furnitureland South. Furnitureland South is just massive.
Hey, ladies. How y'all doing? Yeah. So, no, yeah, this is just our distribution center.
Right.
Corporate offices and contract division.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the rest of our campus are where the showrooms and outlet is. So we can sit down and chat for another minute. I'm sure you guys may.
Yeah, we have
Got
some
some
questions that we'll need you to field if you want to have a little sit.
Say hello to Terry too. She's our.
Hey, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Greets everybody coming in the door. Look at those beautiful Phillips.
Gorgeous. I was going to ask you if that was Phillips' collection.
Yeah, isn't it great?
Gorgeous.
And then over here we've got part of our lobby, and we got TDN playing on the TV.
Of course.
Yeah. So we'll sit right here and answer any additional questions.
Dixie will go through the questions.
Yep, and we had a few more talking points we wanted to cover real quick. I'm just trying to pull them up right now.
Oh, I have them.
Do you?
So your standard delivery windows, what is your standard delivery windows, right? You know, you said West Coast, obviously, west of the Mississippi is a little bit different. We'll have to do that, with our project manager. But what would you call your standard delivery windows?
East Coast, we tell in North Carolina, you're probably 2 to 3 weeks in North Carolina. As you go north of North Carolina, south of North, we're probably 3 and 4 weeks. It's typically once it's all here. We only deliver it when it's complete now. Something new that we've done recently. We try to get all of it consolidated so we can make one stop to your home. And at once, west of the Mississippi, it runs anywhere from 2 to 3 months, just depending on when product arrives here. So
right.
some
Ooh, that's good to note.
It varies, but the East Coast is where we spend, as Jason said, probably 85-90% of our business is on the East Coast. But East Coast, we're typically 2 to 4 weeks. The further north you go, the very northeast, we're probably 3 and 4 weeks out. We don't run enough volume, but if you run down in Florida, Georgia, we're probably 2.5, 3 weeks to get down there once product is all here.
And, just for not to scare anybody on the West Coast, but when we are doing a whole home project, and this goes into the next question. If I'm doing a whole home project and ordering, and you guys are consolidating and delivering that in one go, a couple of months isn't, that's what it's going to take, right?
It's once it all was here. I mean, if most product takes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to get to us, depending on where it's from. But if you're doing a whole home, I've always said, if you're buying $50,000-$60,000, you can almost, it's all here. Do you want it in 10 days?
Right.
I'll get a team to come. I can fill a truck up.
Right. Exactly.
The time frame just squishes way down.
Yes.
A lot of trucks out west will have 25 to 35 stops on it.
Yeah.
If I've got 2 stops on it, I can turn a team around and drive out and spend 3 or 4 or 5 days and come right back and give them a couple of days off and redo it. So it's about number of stops.
Right.
Let me tell you something. On the flip side of this as well is that a lot of designers and clients that are building, custom homes, they don't want the furniture for a while. So, but they're smart if they get in on the front end and they work through us because we have this massive distribution center. We can consolidate and hold the products here until they're ready for it. So it's sometimes experience the delay on the builder or the designer of the project. And so in a climate controlled facility, we're able to consolidate and hold it. That is free of charge. So we hold it for up to a year.
Pay your balance and hold for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't
and
mind.
that's invaluable in and of itself. And that it's actually one of the reasons that I love coming to you guys to do that, because new build construction,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, there's always going to be a delay somewhere. And knowing that I don't have to contact all of the different people and reschedule delivery with each of them makes things so much easier.
We have also a lot of designers that have their own storage units. And if you have a hurricane and flooding and things that happen, these are real things that I've seen my colleagues go through, where there's storage units that are filling up with water, and that could sink a business. That could literally sink a business.
That cannot be an option with the quality of
Right.
furniture that we're selling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moisture, humidity, heat, that never do that.
Yeah. So I also want to point out, I took a note when Dan was talking about when he tries to get another freight company to send out, a one-off, how astronomical the freight is. So can we just talk about your white glove pricing versus freight, all these different pieces, us paying for freight for, to get it received and then get, delivery people in. I think it is so worth it to have everything ordered through you, consolidated, sent on one truck. It's no brainer to me.
It is a no-brainer. And, and there's a lot of manufacturers that will sell designers directly. They typically do not sell them at the same prices that we buy the
Right.
furniture. So they sell them for probably 20-30% higher than the deep discounts, best pricing that we have, because we have a showroom, we stock their merchandise, all that kind of stuff. So you're buying it higher, but then you're paying, to have the freight shipped to your warehouse. Typically, there's cost involved with that. You've got a storage cost, and then you've got to get that product when it's ready to be delivered from that warehouse to your client. And then white glove delivery, there's cost on top of that. So, but the big thing is when there's a problem, all right? Mm-hmm. And it's not if, it's when the problem happens. Then what? Then what happens? You don't have a lot of clout maybe or influence with the manufacturer mm-hmm. or on a priority shipment with them. You've got to find a way to get the product deluxed or sent back to the manufacturer and then go through that whole process again. All of that is included with our service. If there's a problem in the home, we bring it back, we restore it or replace it on at our expense, our cost. There's no cost on that side of it when there's an issue. So because we're constantly
running trips.
Yeah. So
our freight cost, we simply do a pass through. Our business is selling furniture and servicing. I mean, I guess display, selling it, and servicing it. So we simply pass it through. I mean, it's not like we're trying to take most trucking companies, if they have $1,000 cost, they're probably going to sell that cost to you for $1,400. I don't know what they do, but I know they can't do it at $1,000 because they won't stay in business. We're just covering our cost. And Jason's right. The big thing that I think is later for us, we try so hard to do it right the first time. That's one of our mottos here. Do it right the first time. But when it doesn't happen, obviously, we're doing that piece I showed you from Virginia. We picked it up, brought it back here. We're deluxing it. He was fixing it. We'll take it and re-deliver it at our cost, hopefully right the second time. So, it is expensive. We pay attention to that. I'm amazed at when we have an emergency situation, the cost to get things out. You put 2 men in a truck, because all of our trucks are 2 guys in a truck. And driving anywhere in the country, the miles, the equipment's going up, fuel fluctuates at all times. They stay nights in a motel. There's a lot to deal driving throughout the country. But if we do it right and pay close attention, do it right the first time, we keep our cost at a minimum. So we try to be competitive in that way. We run a lot of freight promotions throughout the year, pretty much around the year, depending on where you're at in the country. To get folks in here and to make it attractive, I would call it. So I think we're very, very competitive from what I've seen out there. That answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Dixie, do you want to run through some of while we have them here? I know we have just a few minutes.
I did want to talk about if you are having Furnitureland South delivered to a receiver, what are the best practices that designers should know if they are, instead of having the product delivered to the client, they're having it delivered to a receiver?
Okay, so we have two ways that happens. Sometimes we have receivers come in and get the product at our distribution center. We'll open it and inspect it, and they will send a truck in here, and we will load it on that truck, and we're done with at that point in time, because that receiver has that. If there's damages, the receiver has to get involved in it. We do some of that, but we do take some product to some receivers, and we open, inspect it, we put it on our trucks, and we take it there, and we get them to sign off on it, because they need to inspect it. We'd like for them to inspect it so there's not a problem later. Somebody knocks something over and they call us. But if there's something about defective at later, once that receiver puts it in the home, a lot of the warranties for manufacturers are all over the place. Some are 1 year, 2 years, the frames are longer. But if something becomes defective, we're still there, we're standing behind it. But if we bring it to a receiver, they need to inspect it to sign off that they received it in good shape at that point in time.
Yeah. My question on that would be why
would you do it?
Yeah, mine too.
Why would you have us bring, if we do white glove in-home delivery and it's the same cost, most of the times it's free with our service, why would you have us deliver it to a receiver that's then got to turn around at some point and
take it home?
So we just need to meet you there on the day that you want to have it delivered. Don't have a ship to a receiver. That's rare. There's a problem. You're dealing with the receiver and whoever delivered it to there. So it's not a good business practice, in my opinion, to ship to a receiver. Just let us hold it, let us route it and plan it for the time that we need to deliver it into your home.
And what's the procedure as far as, okay, everything's on the truck and it's headed your way, but how do you find out about what the time window is or scheduling or any of that? You
usually give like 4 hours or something?
4 hour window. So when product's ready, we have an automated system that will send the consumer or the designer a email that says, hey, all your products now here, click here to schedule. So you can go online and schedule, very much like you do a motel room or a VRBO type thing. You see your time windows that are available. You pick on it, you pay the balance, and when you pay the balance, you can confirm it. You can pick your window right there. It'll say 8 to 12, 12 to 4. We typically get guys out of home by 7 o'clock at night. That's preferable. And so you know then, and they'll say you're going to be there on Thursday, the 19th of July between 12 and 4. And the drivers are supposed to call 30 minutes to an hour. I'll just say that range prior to being in your home. So that's the process.
So, and we have an automated system now for scheduling that delivery, as Danny said. We've had that in for, a year and a half? About a year and a half now, and it has been awesome. We used to call every single client and try to have multiple calls and schedule this, but now you can do it online. It's an automated process.
65% of our customers schedule online now. It makes it so much nicer. We track you down at work. Like right now, you can't take a phone call from anyone else, so we leave you a voicemail. Then you call us back later. You leave us a voicemail. So we play tag. So it's been very nice. But that's what happens. You'll know typically 5 days to 7 days in advance. West Coast is a little longer. You'll know it much sooner. But East Coast, you'll know a week prior. Hey, this is when it's coming, the time frame, and boom, it's done. And drivers will call you typically 30 minutes, 40 minutes before they get there.
Some people are frustrated. Some people do get frustrated, and I saw this on one of our Facebook groups. I was like, they didn't like having a 4 hour time frame. They're like, why would you require a 4 hour time frame? And I wish we could get it more narrow than that, but just from our experience, the distance these guys are driving, the customization, the installation, there's issues.
They could hit traffic. They could hit, something could be longer to deliver than they thought. So many things can happen.
We pretty much are guessing with experience. We have experienced ladies in delivery and guys who are saying this typically is the work time it gets there. Well, they find out they get there, it won't go up the stairs you were thinking. So they go in the back, they got to take something apart. And you never know what happens. But if they're going to get behind, we expect a phone call prior to your delivery. So you're not the last one to know.
I do want to bring up, we can put answered in the question that you have changed your procedure as far as the TDN trade bill of lading.
Yeah.
it does not have the prices listed on it, correct?
Right. So obviously the pricing that we're extending to the design community is much better than our consumer pricing. It's
Yeah.
a new business for us, and
Yeah.
we're looking at add-on plus new business for our company, and it's really taken off. It's now 20% of our volume
Wow.
is to designers.
Wow.
About 5 to 8%. So it's really growing tremendously. But that gives the designer that margin opportunity to make some money in there. What was the question? I lost my train of thought.
About the bill of lading, about the pricing on the bill of lading, so that we can be assured if that our client,
right.
even though we're transparent with our client, it's nice to not have that.
Exactly. So the idea is that you're buying at a lower price, and so then you're marking it up and reselling it to your consumer for whatever margin you're putting on it. And so you don't want your price to show on the bill of lading.
Yes.
And we always had that functionality in there to remove those prices from the bills of lading by request. But some designers weren't requesting it. Mm-hmm. So we went ahead and said for every TDN trade order, we're just going to automatically in our system not print the prices on the bills of lading. Right. So that's taken care of. That was an
That's
issue.
Great.
And then the other part of that is if the clients have the gold protection plan, but since they're not going to be seeing the bill of lading anyway, that's not an issue. So, let's see. So one of the designers has mentioned that she hasn't been able to pick a 4-hour window. It's a window of 3 days, and she finds out about a week ahead of time what the day and time of the window is. And that's pretty standard practice. I mean, even like Ethan Allen or other people, anybody who's doing in-home delivery kind of has that pretty standard as far as I know.
It's building trips. I mean, it's trying to get the volume. It's building the trips. If I think was talking about having a one-stop. If you got a one-stop, you can, hey, we're going to do whatever. But when you're building trips, it takes typically to get it built and confirmed about a week. 5 to 10 days prior to delivery is pretty consistent. If some days it's less, but if I had to consistently say, I'd say yes, consumer or designer, 5 to 10 days prior, you should find out.
So we're setting up a window, point, and then
you're just narrowing it down and then narrowing it down and then narrowing it down.
Exactly. We say, hey, it's going to be the week of. All of a sudden, we call back and say it's going to be these 2 days, and then we're going to call back and say it's on Tuesday from 12 to 4. So it goes from big picture, smaller picture to a small scale, so it's better for you.
And if you need to drive, say, a couple of hours to get to your client's house for the delivery, one of the designers said that she's requested it be in the notes that the drivers call a couple of hours ahead of time. That's good, but the better thing would be to plan for the whole window, I think, just because you don't know what could happen. The driver could call you 2 hours out and then hit a huge traffic jam.
We request minimum 30 minutes for the driver. He only knows when he's going to be done. I said, don't wait till you're pulling in their street, because they could have went, they went to their neighbor. They say 12 to 4. We don't want you to call at 1 o'clock and say, hey, guess what, Rachel? I'm going to be late today. Well, no, really? I mean, it's 1 o'clock. So we ask for 30 minutes prior minimum, and always you'll know at least an hour before if you're going to be late. They know if they're at a different stop right now where they're at. So it's tough to get it under the 4 hours. The only one that we could ever do less is the very first stop of the day. The first stop of the day, I can tell you I'm going to be there at 7 a.m.
Right.
That's typically what drivers will do.
And Rochelle said, not a question, but she's had the best experience with the delivery service. And one thing that you all do that her trade receiver doesn't is the repairs and making it all look good. And that in itself is such a value.
Good to hear. Yes.
Just sharing some kudos with you there.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Rochelle.
And let's see, if delivery changes. So if we have plans for the truck to come out and something gets bumped from the trip, what happens then? Does the designer get an email or a phone call, or what's the next step?
Should get a phone call. Could happen a couple different ways. When we pull it down at night, we can find out that it cannot be deluxe repaired prior to the trip. It has to be bumped. They should get a phone call, not an email. Be calling them saying, hey, your product can't make it for various reasons. Here's what we're going to do for a solution. whether it takes 1 day, 1 week, we got to order a new one. That can happen. We could be out on the road and we had a driver the other week that had a family emergency. A whole trip had to come back. We didn't have drivers available to go fill in, so we had to call those stops. But those are the two things that happen. Truck breaks down. I mean, we've got 40 trucks on the road at any given time. And, you think of the things that snowstorms. We had a guy, snowstorm, had to return a trip. So it's communicating and trying to do it as quickly as possible. But majority of it's about the bump. We really don't bump that many. I think I looked at it the other day because we had a meeting, but we're shipping probably 6,000 or 7,000 pieces a week. We're probably bumping 80 to 90. It's a really small percentage, but it's still it's not a happy moment for a customer designer because it could be that one piece that the room was built around, and it might be a week delayed or whatever, but communicating it within the hour.
And that's something that you should also prepare clients for as a designer. I know I've had issues where we expected a sofa to come in 8 weeks and it took 5 months. And this is not with Furnitureland South. This is with a different company completely. And just letting them know that we want the end result to be perfect. And if it takes a little bit longer, then that's just going to be part of the process. So letting your clients know ahead of time that's part of setting expectations when you work with a client, period.
We have a status department that we manage on that product inbound to us. When the contracts are printed, it always tells you an estimated time of average that we expect for it to be here. But as you know, it doesn't always happen like that for various reasons. Fabric delay, finish delayed, shipping delays from vendors. And we try to stay on that. We have a group of people upstairs in our accounting area. They're called the status group, and they communicate any failures. We call it a failure. If it's going to go past what we told you up front, we better call and let you know prior to that. So we try to stay on top of that, but sometimes it gets bumped 2 and 3 times. You almost look like you get embarrassed, start covering your eyes like, gosh, we called her in May, told her it would be June. Oh, we call her in June now, tell her it's July. And then we just found out this week, it's going to be September. And the consumer, the designer gets real upset, but all we can do is beat the vendor and say, hey guys, give us an exact date. So we try to communicate that.
Well, and we try to pick and work with vendors that do not do that to us. And one thing that we do, we publish quarterly a vendor scorecard. And I mean, it just calls them out. It shows them exactly what is going on, their failure percentage, and we show them the actual orders, specific products and orders where we might have experienced delays. So we call them on the carpet about it, and we hold them accountable. And we have ended relationships with vendors if they don't provide the level of service that we need. To kind of piggyback what Danny said, though, we used to be very reactive on these things, and now that if we do exceed an expected acknowledgement date, we are proactive and we're automatically notified, and we notify the client. And so we're not just waiting, months and the client calls up upset and asking where it is. We are proactive on those issues.
We went really long. Thank you for your time. This is an awesome, informative webinar. Danny Owens, the Director of Operations, thank you so much. It was wonderful meeting you. And Jason Harris, we just love when we get we call him the Jason Harris around our parts. So if this is your first webinar you've sat in on, we have done a series of webinars from how to set up your profile, what is e-design, everything step by step. And we are going to house these. They're housed actually in the Design Network's Trade Direct Facebook group, in Design+Style's Facebook group. If Jason is always in our group and his group, or someone from their staff. We tag them. Megan Morrow is your contact. She's very, very helpful. She's amazing. So, you guys have been so responsive to us as, we bring up issues or any problems we have. So we appreciate you and everything that you do for our design community.